Lyda, in case people don't know about Green Teams of Canada, can you just tell us what it is and why you are so passionate about it?
Thanks, Gail. I'm really excited to be here. Green Teams of Canada started from a deeply personal place. I was feeling isolated and overwhelmed by the environmental challenges that we face, and I knew I wasn't alone.
Hmm.
I also had all this passion for community. I wanted to create something that connected people to each other and to nature, not just to restore nature, but to restore connection to each other, to nature, and to something bigger than ourselves. I believe,
Mm.
yeah, I believe environmental change starts with people, and that's why we get communities, especially youth, involved in hands-on activities like removing invasive plants, planting native plants and trees, and cleaning up shorelines, litter cleanups in the neighborhoods. But the impact goes far beyond the environment. When people work together to care for nature, they also take care of their own mental health. They combat loneliness and they build stronger communities. Today,
Hmm.
more than ever, people, especially young people, are struggling with mental health challenges and a sense of disconnection. And that was even more prevalent during COVID.
Hmm.
Um, our activities give them a purpose, show them that they can make a real difference. We invite people of all ages, not just youth,
Mm.
abilities, experience levels, and backgrounds to join us. And many of the people have never come out before. They don't know how to put gardening gloves on or use a shovel or any of that. Sometimes they haven't even step foot in that park, even though they live down the street from that park. Uh,
Amazing.
yeah, but once they do, they feel healthier because they're connecting to nature and
Mm.
they're getting that social connection with other people,
Yeah.
and it raises their environmental awareness. They learn about environmental issues that are happening right in their backyard. Often you think of climate change as something that's happening somewhere else, but it's
Hmm.
happening in your backyard, and that
Yeah.
makes that connection for them.
Hmm.
It's not about planting trees or pulling invasive plants for us. It's about creating a culture where people like feel powerful to create change. Every movement, whether it's social or environmental, has always started with a committed group of people who believe in something bigger than themselves, and that's what we're doing.
Oh my gosh, I have so many things I want to ask you. So so it's not, you mentioned young people, but it's not just primarily aimed at young people. You're welcoming all types of people to be involved. Is that right?
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people that come out are first timers, and sometimes they come out because they're trying to get volunteer hours or they just want to meet people, or it just seems like a really cool thing to do. I never just assume they're coming out because they want to do something for the environment. That's almost like an after effect for some people that engage in our activities. Um, but yeah, it's all ages and abilities. It's amazing to see an 85-year-old man working side by side with a
Yeah.
15-year-old, and it's intergenerational. It's all backgrounds and cultures. We invite everyone. It isn't about how many cubic meters of invasive plants we remove or how many plants we put in the ground. It's about being together, basically,
Yeah.
outside together.
Yeah, and making a difference together.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
I want to ask you more about that, but how you said you started it because you felt disillusioned and I think so many of us have that a similar feeling, especially right now.
Yeah.
So how did you start? I mean, and how, like, you're a young person, like, how did you begin? What was your first step into it?
Was You've heard that Margaret Mead's famous quote, never
Yes,
doubt, yeah, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has.
absolutely.
That idea has guided me from the very beginning. So
Mhm.
when it comes to big challenges like climate change, it's easy to get overwhelmed. But the truth is, we can make a difference, and small actions add up and they create hope, which inspires even more action. So for
Mhm.
me, I was constantly hearing about the climate crisis and all the things going wrong with the environment. And honestly, I felt hopeless. I figured others felt the same way.
Mhm.
I've always been passionate about both community and the environment, but I hadn't yet found a way to bring the two pieces together that I care about.
Mhm.
And every time I had an idea about engaging people in environmental action, I kept running into skepticism, like people saying good idea in theory, but it will never work.
Mhm.
So I basically went out and I decided to prove them wrong. So I started a meetup group back in 2011. I called it the Lower Mainland Green Team. sketched a logo with my pencil crayons at my kitchen table. And then I simply invited people out to local parks to remove invasive plants, plant native plants and trees, and pick up litter. And you know what? People showed up. A lot of
Oh,
people. A lot of people.
really? Like how many people came at the beginning?
My first activity, it was in Campbell Valley Regional Park, March 11th, which is coming up to our anniversary, actually. March is
Aw.
coming. Yeah, Campbell Valley Regional Park is in Langley, and it's very far away from everything. It's not transit accessible. And it was like 25 or 25 people out
Wow.
for our very first activity. And I remember there was a group of 5 people that none of them knew each other, and they hitched a ride from Vancouver. So 5 strangers hopped into a car and came out to Campbell Valley Regional Park to remove English ivy with us. So
Wow.
it was really great. And um, so there were so many of so what I realized is that this isn't just about the environment; it's about community engagement. People weren't just coming out to restore nature; they were coming out to connect with each other,
Mhm.
and they were trying to get a sense of purpose. And for the first few months, I thought maybe it was just a fad and that people would lose interest, but they didn't. They kept coming out because they were craving that connection with other people. And this simple idea, turning
Yeah.
feelings of isolation and hopelessness into action, hope, and purpose, Green Teams of Canada was born. And any success we've had isn't because of me. It's because of every single person who has ever shown up, put on a pair of gloves, and taken action. They're the reason
Mm.
this works. They're the ones that creating change, and that's something worth celebrating. And I
Yeah.
think an important point too is that I had been going to some of these kind of activities prior to starting the Lower Mainland Green Team, and I had noticed that it tended to veer to like older people
Mhm.
or really young people, Cub Scouts trying to get their badges, and there was a
Right.
whole middle age range that was missing between
Yeah.
12, I'd say 12 and 30 years old,
Yeah.
and that's the large number of people that started to come out to these kind of
Mm.
activities, started bringing a whole new demographic out that had previously never engaged in this type of activity.
Oh.
And they inspired me. They are like the foundation of our organization.
Oh my gosh. Well, yes, I see what you mean. That is also your vision and it wouldn't be happening without you. So, how did you reach out to people? How did you get the invitation out? How do you do that?
It's interesting because it was before the age of Twitter and Instagram for the most part. They
Yeah.
hadn't quite taken off yet, but Meetup is social media basically. And so we used Meetup to spread the word. But it was just one tool. We sent out emails. I did research of all the community center schools. I emailed everyone under the sun. I spread the word far and wide, basically. Since then, obviously, we've developed a more comprehensive outreach methods, and now we use Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, all of that stuff a lot. We send emails out all the time. It isn't just about putting the event up on Meetup and sitting
Yeah.
back and waiting for people to come. We email everyone, all the teachers, every single one of them. It's interesting because I used to think that I needed to email certain teachers who I thought would be interested in the environment, but I realized you need to email every single teacher because it could be any somebody teaching French who's interested
Mhm.
in the environment. Uh, so that was very effective in getting a lot of young people out, getting the and then people need volunteer hours as well, so that
Yeah.
helped.
So
So there was
you
yeah,
emailed all the teachers at I'm a teacher. I just retired from 35 years of teaching.
oh amazing.
So you emailed all the teachers at local schools around you? Wow. Okay.
Yes, yes.
That's
And
great.
any other like I would look at a Google map and like look for like coffee shops, community centers,
Yes.
churches, mosques, and anybody that I could spread the word to, and other environmental
Wow.
organizations, ask them to spread it out on their newsletters, and which they did, and was I'm very grateful for. It's
Yeah.
so
Amazing.
lots of different ways, and also contacting the media, newspapers,
Yeah.
and just spreading the word that way as well was effective back
Oh,
then.
that's a great idea to aim at the high school kids or all students, I suppose. That's great. And they have such a strong, uh, pa- you know, passion about caring for the environment. I really noticed that with the high school kids that I worked with. They were so passionate and have had, many projects about caring for the environment. So that's a great idea. And how often do you have events for people to join in?
It depends. Our heavy seasons are usually September, October, November, and it would be like 3 to 10 activities a month during those months. And then March, April, May, June, and July are pretty heavier in terms of running activities. The Lower Mainland Green Team runs between 30 and 35 activities annually. And then the Greater Victoria Green Team runs between 50 and 55 activities annually.
Wow, that's a lot. And so you're mentioning, Lower Mainland and the island groups, but is it truly now all across Canada or?
Not yet.
Mhm.
That is our vision for the future. We're
Mhm.
just trying to get the Lower Mainland Green Team and the Greater Victoria Green Team
Okay.
both financially sustainable and like perfecting the model and making sure they work effectively in both those areas. And then,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. Okay. And then how do you decide on what you're going to work on? Is it that you are researching and noticing issues, or how do you decide what to invite people to do?
Yes, so we don't decide what activities we do or the sites at all.
Okay. Oh.
I actually we work with partners, so
Mhm.
governmental agencies, land trusts, educational
Mhm.
institutions, other nonprofit organizations. They're the ecological experts. They know they're the ones who are managing that site or that park or that green space. They're the experts, and we completely respect that. And we're the community engagement experts. So it's one of these things where they've got their strengths and we've got ours.
I
And then when you
see.
combine those two pieces together,
Mhm.
um, it's very powerful. So
Yeah.
they're like, this site needs, like, they've got their environmental management plans, and they're like, with this site needs restoration, planting, whatever it is. And
Yeah.
then we bring the people, we connect the people to that work, to that project, to that thing that they need to get done. So we really rely on our partners to direct the type of activities that we do.
Okay. So do they get in touch with you, or do you reach out to them or different potential partners and say, hey, we have this potential of a group of people that want to get involved? Do you have anything for us to work on, sort of thing?
Yeah, so we have I'll go back and do a little bit of a history.
Sure.
For the first few years, I applied for grants.
Mm-hmm.
And so grants is typically a good funding source for charities and nonprofits. Say I wanted to pilot the Lower Mainland Green Team and to, engage community members in environmental actions.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I learned with grants is that they're great for piloting projects, but they're not
Yes,
sustainable long-term funding.
that's right.
So what happened is, so from 2011 to about 2014, 15, I was surprised because they gave us funding to pilot our project, and we were very successful, very effective. And I thought we would get more money, but it actually
Mhm.
went the other way, where we got less money because grants are not sustainable long-term funding.
Right.
So we shifted to a different model. It's a fee for service model. So we call the fee for service partners community investment partners, so CIPs,
Mm-hmm.
and they financially they pay for our community engagement work so that we can run these activities in their spaces. So it's yeah,
Yeah.
it's been so we have this entirely different model that we've been
Mm-hmm.
working on.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, that's more sustainable.
that's right.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. And do you find the people that come out to help in the various ways, are they the same people? Are a lot of them repeat customers kind of thing, or do you have new people each time?
Yeah, so there tends to be a small group of core people that come out consistently. And then
Right.
you have a lot of first timers. So we really are specializing in that first timer, like
Yeah.
untapped demographic, people that don't typically get engaged in this type of work at all. We're that first point of entry to acting for the environment, taking care of the environment.
Right. Okay. And then when you, I guess I should say to you that, being a teacher, but also in my last, say, 15 years of education, I was a community school coordinator. So I
Right.
worked with families and partners and community groups and nonprofits. So I'm really loving this conversation. And I also hosted and created a lot of gatherings. So when people show up, is there a way that you sort of connect with them, or do they just begin? Like how does an event go? How do you design it?
Yeah. So we're about the people. We're about impacting people. So when
Mm.
they come out, I often see people kind of having that lost look as they're walking
Yes.
towards the site. I usually step forward and walk towards them.
Mhm.
And I welcome them. I ask them what their name is, what brought them out. And then I have them sign in on a tablet.
Mhm.
Their name, what time, and then whether it's the first time they've ever been in that park, whether they've removed
Right.
invasive plants or planted before. They just fill it out. It takes like 30 seconds. And
Mhm.
then after everybody has signed in, we get everybody into a circle, and then we do an instruction for like 15 minutes to 25 minutes, explaining and instructing them on the kind of work that we're going to be doing.
Mhm.
And we do a safety talk so that people are safe while they're doing that activity. And we ask people what to go around, and we do an icebreaker so everybody gets to know
Okay.
each other's names and maybe their favorite hobby outdoors.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we go around in the circle so that people can get to know each other and connect with each other and learn something about each other. And then we give them gloves, tools, and then off they go to work. And we take tons of photos. We take videos of people talking about the impact of the activity. And we spend a lot of our time. Our job is to make sure that the community members that are engaged have a good time and feel
Yes.
welcomed, and that there's a warm, friendly social atmosphere, and that the focus isn't necessarily like the quantity of work. I mean,
Right.
we definitely get a lot of work done and it's quality work,
Yeah.
but we really center the people that are coming out so that
Yeah.
they feel like embraced and they become part of our group, part of our family, part of our team. And I think
Yes.
that's
That's great.
so important. And
It is.
yeah, and that welcoming environment where we're like, give them all the tools so that they can be successful, really works. It's
Yeah.
really effective. And
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. Well, and that's probably the reason, I'm sure it is, why people come back, because you're doing so many things right in terms of, having people feel they belong and welcoming them and connecting them to each other. And it doesn't sound intimidating. Sometimes when one wants to help or volunteer, it's like, oh, I won't know anybody. And what do I do? And who do I talk to? And you've made all of that so easy, and that it sounds wonderful. And would a whole family be welcome to come together?
Oh, absolutely. We get families all the time, like
Sounds
mom and dad,
great.
and yeah, all ages, like small kids. I've had
Yeah.
people with babies come out. I love babies coming out to
Oh,
activities. It's wonderful, all
oh,
ages.
that sounds amazing. It's actually making me tear up right now. I think what a beautiful thing to do. Like I have one grandson now that's 2, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be watching for this. What a beautiful thing. And how long is how long are people required to stay? Or I guess they could leave whenever they would like, but what's a typical length of time?
It's usually approximately about just a little over 3 hours.
Oh,
We have a break halfway, and
okay.
often our community organizers, the people that are running it, the Lower Mainland Green Tea Program Manager or the Greater Victoria Green Tea Program, we usually bake something.
Oh,
So the Greater Victoria Green Team and the Lower Mainland Green Team have been like baking like brownies and like banana bread, and my specialty is like sugar cookies, like cut in the shape of English ivy.
oh.
So we also think food is like a good
Mhm.
way to bring community together. So we have a whole lot of food, a lot of
Absolutely.
fruits and vegetables, like
Yeah.
healthy things, but also like, of course, the cookie and the brownies. And yeah,
Oh,
so we have a nice break in the
fantastic.
middle as well. So we want to make
Mhm.
sure people are refreshed. And
Mhm.
also it's another opportunity for people to chat amongst themselves.
Right. That's great. Okay, I love that. And so you've got groups in the lower mainland and on the island. And I know you've got, is she, I don't know if she's in charge of the island, but Ashton, and she's won an award also.
Yes.
And I just wondered, can you tell us about her? It sounds like she's quite an amazing young person as well.
She certainly is. I remember she was going to UBC back in 2018, and she was taking the bus out all the way to White Rock, which is not an easy feat
No.
to participate in Lower Mainland Green Team activity. So she started off as a volunteer, actually, as one of our
Oh,
participants. And so she volunteered for some time. She was like taking the bus out to Delta and White Rock and wherever we were running activities, she was there.
oh my gosh.
And yeah, and then she became a board member for Green Teams of Canada. She became a board member for a couple of years. So she went from being a volunteer, a participant of our activities, to becoming a board member who directs the organization, who's one of the people that directs them. And
Yeah.
then in 2021, January 2021, she became the Lower Mainland Green Team program manager. So she's been amazing, and seeing her growth since she
Yeah.
started has been inspiring,
Oh, that sounds amazing. I'd love to meet her one day as well.
for sure.
So you, it sounds like, you're talking about all these the beautiful parts of it, but it's also an incredibly um, laborious task that you're taking on. So are you finding like how are you managing it as it grows? And are there certain challenges that you face as a community organizer?
Yeah, one of our biggest challenges is the outdated belief that community engagement should be unpaid.
Mm,
Um, People often assume that organizing volunteers or community member just happens, or it's something
mhm.
that people do in their spare time.
Yeah.
But bringing lots of people together to take action takes skill, strategy, full-time effort. It requires
Absolutely.
community organizing, project management, environmental expertise, public, like if so, marketing, social
Yes.
media, like it's so much work,
It
and it
is.
requires a lot of expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Yet funding for it is just treated as optional rather than essential. And so without paid organizers, there's no large scale community engagement initiatives. And when this work isn't properly funded, it sends the message that it has no value,
Yes.
even though engaging people in environmental action is the backbone of strong, connected communities. So at our organization, we're changing that mindset. So that's why earlier I was talking about our fee-for-service model. We're
Mm-hmm.
asking partners to invest in community-based environmental action, and we've had some success. Um, but honestly, it's still an uphill battle because a lot of people in decision-making roles see this work as a nice to have rather than essential. And they believe, I believe that community engagement should be embedded in budgets, just like infrastructure, because it strengthens the social fabric that holds communities together. And it's and there's room for unpaid community engagement as well. I want to be
Mm-hmm.
clear about that because there's amazing stewardship groups or streamkeeper groups who
Yes.
I actually look up to and I'm inspired by, who are tend to be older, retired, financially secure people that bring
Yes.
people out and do this kind of work, and they're
Yes.
amazing. So there's room for unpaid that,
Mm-hmm.
volunteering, and also for paid community engagement. And when I look at the community engagement overall, I don't see very many young people doing it. And the reason
Mm-hmm.
is no one's paying them to do it.
Right.
And it's incredibly important to pay people to do this work. And that has been our single biggest challenge to date.
Mm-hmm. So you can I ask, we can take this out if you want to, but are you and Ashton paid employees right now?
Yes, we're all
Good.
paid. Yes, we're all paid. Yeah, I realized very quickly in 2011 when we first started that I could not continue on
No.
working for free,
Yeah.
unpaid as a volunteer.
Right.
That expectation still exists. It surprises me still.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that it's been embedded over decades, and it's going to take a
Yeah.
long time to unravel that mindset that's like entrenched.
Yeah.
Uh, but it needs to happen soon
It
because I
does.
think, yeah, because I think community organizing is the answer to social and environmental challenges that we face.
Oh my gosh, I could not agree with you more. And oh, you're preaching to the choir here, but my whole life has been focused on community development and engagement. And it's preventative, right? It's not just a band-aid. It's like it's doing so many things at once, connecting people and strengthening them, especially like what you're saying in nature and in the environment. It literally makes us well, it makes us thrive. So it's what you're doing is really, really powerful. Beautiful work that you're doing.
Thank
So,
you.
um, you're welcome. And so you're in the future, like, you said a little bit about that. Do you want to share anything about your hopes for what's coming up for Green Teams of Canada? Yeah.
Yeah, we're entering an exciting chapter. The Greater Victoria Green Team is already up running for the 2025, and the Lower Mainland Green Team is going to kick off in March.
Okay.
Yeah, we're at an exciting point as a charity. Our impact is growing, and to take Green Teams of Canada, we need to the next level. We need to strengthen our foundation. So right now, we're focused on building the processes and structures that will set future Green Teams up for success. So that means improving our community engagement systems, database management, internal operations, so that we can scale. It also means diversifying our funding sources. So we're spending less time chasing funding and more time doing what we do best, which is connecting people to nature and to each other.
Mm.
So we're committed to making both the Lower Mainland Green Team and the Greater Victoria Green Team as strong and sustainable as possible, while using our award-winning community engagement model to lay the groundwork for expansion. So when the time is right, we want to launch new green teams in other communities and bring even more people out. We're also currently, right now, expanding and enhancing our activities. We're not just right now, we typically run invasive plants, invasive plant removals or planting native plants and trees and litter cleanups, but we want to enhance those existing activities with and add new elements to them, like outdoor yoga, a nature walk, pollinator picnic,
Mm.
recycling workshop, maybe a forest bathing. But we've also got ideas that we're developing, brand new initiatives, such as a park audit or food security, where people can harvest vegetables and prepare garden beds so they get connected where their food comes from. Stewardship activities designed for people with disabilities so everyone can participate. And workshops for youth so that we can pass Green Teams of Canada can pass its award-winning community engagement model to the next generation, and trail building. So
Wow.
it's an exciting time for us. And despite the fact that we're really small, we have big dreams. We have 4 staff. Despite the fact we're tiny, we have big dreams, and we're determined to break through the barriers that we're facing, and prove that community-driven environmental action is powerful, effective, and worth investing in. And with the right support, I think we can grow this movement across BC and actually beyond. And we have board members from Ontario and Quebec. We're getting ready. We're going to start green teams across Canada.
Oh,
It's federally incorporated. We're only running the 2 in BC right now, but we really are looking to the future. And I invite everyone who believes in this to be part of it, whether it's through funding, partnerships, or volunteering. This kind of work thrives when we come together.
oh, it does. That's so exciting. Oh, my heart's just pounding listening to you. It's so exciting. So, we're just about to the part where I'm going to read a quote to you. But what's the best way for people to get involved in general? And also, I'm thinking of the high school students that I used to work really closely with, and the need and the want for volunteer hours. So, how can high school students get in touch with you, and how can people in general get involved?
For sure. So going to if someone were to Google Lower Mainland Green Team and put meetup, our meetup will show up, and then all the upcoming activities are there, and they can just easily sign up.
Okay.
Or the Greater Victoria Green Team if that's where they're located. So
Okay.
one of the ways they can get involved is to join one of our activities and
Mhm.
experience firsthand how rewarding it is to connect with others and take care of the environment. So that's one way. Another way is to advocate, is to talk to local governmental representatives and tell them you want more investment in hands-on community-based environmental work. Tell them you want to see them working with nonprofits and citizen groups and businesses,
Mhm.
to do this kind of work. So that's another way. Donating. if you believe in what we do, supporting us financially is really key. So greenteamscanada.ca. And then there's a donate button right there. Charities
Mhm.
like ours aren't often on people's radars. So
Right.
financial support will allow us to grow our programs, reach more people, and engage more young people in environmental leadership. And every dollar we raise goes directly into getting more people involved and helping to make our
Mhm.
communities healthier and more sustainable. So every action, big or small, it makes a difference. When people come
Mhm.
together, they take to take care of the earth. They're also taking care of each other and
Mhm.
themselves.
Yes. And you're on social media, right?
Yes, we've
Yeah.
got an Instagram account for both green teams. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter. We have a TikTok that we just started a few months ago.
Yeah.
So we're on all the social media platforms. We've got Facebook
Right.
group as well.
Mhm. Great. Yeah, I found you quite easily and I'm following along now and I'm definitely going to be coming out to some of your the events for sure. So, okay, Lita, I'm going to read a quote to you, and I'm just inviting you to comment on it in any way you wish. If it reminds you of a story or whatever you'd like to say about it is great. So, this is a
Sure.
Kofi Annan quote, and it says, "Let us be good stewards of the earth we inherited. All of us have to share the earth's fragile ecosystems and precious resources, and each of us has a role to play in preserving them. If we are to go on living together on this earth, we must all be responsible for it."
Hmm. So this quote resonates with me because it reflects the core values of Green Teams of Canada, basically in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Uh, I believe that taking care of our environment has to go beyond good intentions. It requires action. It requires working together. Our work is built on the idea that everyone has a role to play in taking care of the environment, and we create opportunities for people to connect with nature in a way that fosters both responsibility and belonging, that sense of belonging you were talking about earlier. And at the
Mhm.
same time, I also believe that environmental work needs to be valued appropriately, both in terms of its impact and the resources needed to sustain it. So if we truly want to be responsible for the earth, we must ensure that those doing the work to organize people to take action are supported and compensated so this vital stewardship can continue and grow. And I
Mhm.
really believe together we can solve complex challenges like climate change,
Yeah.
or adapt to it.
Yeah.
We
Right.
just all need to step up and do something, big or small. We cannot underestimate the power of small actions. These actions create hope and they inspire further action. So it goes back to that Margaret Mead quote.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful. Okay, and I always ask guests these two final questions, and I guess just before that, just want to say thank you for your work and your passion and your dedication to the earth and community. So you're making me all misty now.
Yeah.
Beautiful work. And I would say definitely what you are doing is spreading love, and that's what this is all about. So, with that, here's the first question. With the understanding that what we shine light on grows, if we imagine a world in which we were to all focus more on fostering love, such in the ways we focused on here today, what do you think we might see?
Um, if we were focusing on love and focusing on connecting with each other and connecting to nature, they improve lives. I think they bringing people together, creating those meaningful social connections is so needed. And
Mm,
it's all that love you were talking about. Something that I felt has happened a lot is a lot of participants have told us that they walk away feeling hope
mhm,
and inspired and empowered and feeling like they've made a real impact and developed skills and felt more confident and have felt a stronger sense of purpose. That's what coming together with love and is for me. I mean, we've seen it firsthand how spending time in nature and working alongside others can boost people's mental health, reduce stress, improve their well-being. And when people take action, often for the first time, we're changing mindsets. We're raising environmental awareness. We're inspiring lasting behavior change. They become like stewards of the earth and of each other,
Yeah.
like well into the future. So at the end of the day, Green Teams of Canada is about restoring our sense of community, hope, and connection. That's what keeps us going. So that's the vision.
That's beautiful. So good. Uh, and then the last question is, what are one or two thoughts you hope listeners take away from our conversation here today?
I think the one thought that really stands out is that we're all in this together.
Mm-hmm.
Like every person in government, every business, everybody from all walks of life, every age, we're in this together. We need to figure out how to lift each other up and support each other to take care of ourselves and to take care of the environment, and drop all the everything else, the politics, pettiness, like, oh, whatever it is, all that other stuff is just noise. And we have to take care of each other and the environment now. We don't have time for shenanigans. Like,
Right.
like we don't have time
Yeah.
for like whatever it is that's a barrier to working together. We have to. It's like, this is it
Yeah.
now.
There's nothing more important, really, is there? It's our home. It affects every one of us.
Exactly. So yeah, please lift us up. We'll lift you up, and let's do this together.
Mhm. Wow, that's a beautiful way to end. Thank you so much, Lyda, for talking with me today. Really appreciate it.